Boys, literally, like, my entire computer has just absolutely gotten destroyed today, so you're gonna have to bear with me for a second while I figure all this stuff out. I literally had to flash my BIOS today. That's how real it got, okay? So just chill for a second while I figure things out for like 1 minute. All right. I think maybe I've gotten everything together. I think maybe we've got it. It's been a day. I have been trying to get the stream ready for 3 hours. Mr. Not So Shiny Head Ducks, it's pretty shiny, bro. Like, it's not super shiny, but it's pretty shiny. What's up, boys? I'm real. All right, let me ping. I exist. You do this. All right, I have no idea how that's gonna go. I don't even know. All right, it does go through music. All right, good, but it's way too fucking loud, but we'll see. All right, we got a lot to talk about today, boys. We have a ton to talk about. All right, my eyes, I know, you're getting blinded. How long has it been since I've streamed? I actually don't know how long it's been since I've streamed. You know, let's have these disappear after 100 seconds, just because. I don't know how long it's been since I've streamed, probably forever at this point. All right, boys, so a couple of things we're gonna go over today. I actually kind of liked that music. What was the name of that music? Still Alive, yes. I didn't even realize that was the name of the song I was listening to. You look buffed. I don't really know that I'd call it buffed. Like, I have some muscle now. I'm not fat anymore. Like, I still got a little bit of chub, but it's the part that's gonna be really hard to get rid of. But any build for next league that you want to play? I don't have builds for next league, dude. Not yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet at all. However, we are still alive. All right, boys. We're gonna cover two things today. All right. First is we're gonna talk about my long hiatus. Some thoughts that I've had on just streaming and content and things in general. My plans and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna do all that. And then we're gonna go over all of my footage from LA when I went to go and play Path of Exile 2 on console. Speaking of which, I mean, I know world first showing off the stuff from LA, but I know world first. I bet you guys have never seen this, right? But for the 3 people who actually haven't seen it, we did get a like custom PoE 2 like wrapped Xbox Elite controller.
Oh yes.
Unironically really nice.
Holy smokes, Batman.
Yo, what's up, dude? I'm not Batman. Batman doesn't show up ever. I'm here. But yeah, so we did get the controller. LA was super nice. It comes with, it's the Xbox Elite controller, so it comes with like the whole everything. He did misspell bald man. But the thing that kind of frustrated me about PoE 2 when it comes to console, and I'm only saying this now because of like holding this controller, you know how much nicer it would have been to play on this controller compared to playing on a PS5 controller. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. It's been a long time since I've used a PlayStation controller. Those things suck. Absolute garbage tier controller. I could not. Anyways. Absolute garbage tier controller. They're so bad. So miserably bad. So we're gonna talk about that. That's the next thing we're gonna talk about, is that link that someone just already did the command. I don't even know who did it. But that's the next thing we're gonna talk about. But yeah, the PlayStation controller is awful. Next thing we're gonna talk about is that I have decided that I am just going to give up on Patreon. I'm going to give up on pretty much any kind of anything. And from now on, whenever I do anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If I make a video, if I make notes for it, if I put it a POB, if I do anything for it, this is the way that I'm going to do it, okay? This is how it's going to be done, all right? I have made this. I just purchased it through, because I've already been using Obsidian for a while now, okay? So now, anytime any kind of content exists for anything from me, it's going to be in here. You're just going to be able to go to this one link, and it's all just going to be here. Now, eventually, I am going to like update this with things from the videos. Like, I can actually put the videos in here so you can just straight watch the video from this page. You don't have to go to YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere else. It's all just going to be all in here. There's going to be everything that I do, all of my notes. Like, you know how I made these notes for the videos recently? Like how I've just kind of been posting these notes in recent time? It's just all going to be in here from now on. Everything is just going to be in here. Including like all the links, me talking about like how I do advertisements, how I do content, and like how I reference people and stuff, talking about what I want the community to be, how to collab with me, how to work with me, how to talk with me if you have a problem with me, and a bunch of other stuff. This is one big thing that I do want to talk about. I know I spoke on this in the past, and this was one of the main things that was kind of like frustrating me about the internet and making content and stuff in general, is that I have just decided to stop giving a shit. And if people want to talk shit about me and they want to have any kind of interaction with me whatsoever, they need to just come talk to me. They need to just come talk to me on stream. And if they can't, then fuck them. And I don't want anything to do with them. So it is what it is. Beyond that, yeah, I think that's most it for this. This is going to be where everything's going to be from now on. All of my notes that have been showing in the videos, they're all just going to be here, including build guides. I don't have any build guides in here yet because, you know, haven't made any builds since this. But it is what it is. So that's that. Let's see here. Why is Nightbot mentioning me? Oh, I just put my name in there. Isn't that thing Ko-fi better? No, the idea is that I'm just gonna have it be public, and I just don't care about doing any kind of like payment or anything for it. They have craft guides included, everything. Like, if I make videos for anything, it's just going to be in here. Like, if I make videos for anything and I make notes for it, it's just going to be in here. Like, absolutely everything is just all going to be in here. So, I don't exactly know how to do it, but I know that you can do something like, I can't edit it from here, but for example, let me see if I can figure this out. So, what is this video? Atlas passive changes, currency from Necropolis, PoE economy in shambles, okay. I think that video was this one. What's up, gamers? We gotta talk. Yeah, I think it was this one. So, something I think that you can do. Let's see here. God, I hate how it always pops up here. There we go. All right, so something I think that you can do. PoE economy in shambles. PoE economy in shambles. I think I can do this. Hold on. And then I hit publish. Publish. And then we reload this. Yeah, so this is how it's gonna go. So now whenever I have a video, whenever I have anything that you want to see, it should look like this. Where is restream chat? So yeah, it's gonna look like this. So you'll be able to come in here. You can still subscribe. You can click on this.
What's up, gamer?
You can watch it just in this window. Like you don't even have to go to YouTube. It still gives me a view. Like it's perfectly fine. You can go to YouTube if you want to, but the video is literally just going to be in here, and it'll play in here, and you can like listen and watch and look at the notes and do whatever. So that's how this is gonna be set up eventually. You get PoE 2. We have a bunch of footage for we have a bunch of footage for PoE 2 that we'll go through. Embeds don't have ads, by the way. That's fine, I don't care. But yeah, we have a bunch of footage that we're gonna go through for PoE 2, so we'll do that here in a minute. But it's just gonna have links to this. You can watch it on YouTube if you want to. It doesn't matter. Just do whatever you want, but these links are gonna be in here. If you want to throw money at me, then just throw money at me. Sub or do whatever. I don't care. I'm not that worried about it. But yeah, if you want to support people on YouTube when you watch their content, the best way that you can do that is by getting YouTube Premium, unironically. All right, so now that we've done all that, I need an update. What's been going on? Okay, so I'll do a short summary of what's been going on with me. So I kind of just decided to sit back a little bit, and I was pretty done with Necropolis. Like, Necropolis, honestly, wasn't doing shit for me. Necropolis was not doing shit for me, okay? And I had just little to no desire to interact with it pretty much at all, and I kind of felt like I needed a break from PoE again. So I took a break from PoE, and I just kind of sat back and decided what I wanted to do with content, whether or not, you know, it was even something I wanted to really continue doing. And then they flew me out to LA. So the LA trip was pretty nice. I hung out with a bunch of people, and I'm gonna give you guys a chance to guess, okay? I hung out with a bunch of people. I'm not the type that like goes out of my way to take pictures. I'm not the type to like do any of that stuff, right? I just wanted to be like there in the moment. I didn't care about taking pictures. I didn't care about doing anything. Did not matter to me. I'm gonna give you guys one guess, all right? I'll let chat guess for like 10, 15, 20 seconds. Who do you think, out of all of the people that were there, who do you think I vibed with the most? Because I don't think any of you are going to get it. Because I hung out with a bunch of people. Any of the people that you saw there that got the controllers or anything like that. Out of all of the people there, Jungroan wasn't there. Who do you think that I vibed with the most? There was a decent amount of people there, but the big boy names, most of them weren't there. The vast majority of them weren't there. Lily, Gazzy, no. Not Connor, not Jungroan, no. I hung out with, let's see, there was a bunch of people. I hung out with, I know Catmaster posted a picture of us together, because we were like walking to some shop or something like that. I don't even know if MBX was there. I actually hung out with Valor Mage a lot. I hung out with Catmaster. I hung out with Arrow. I didn't see Yoji there. I don't know that he was there. Arrow was pretty cool, but the guy that I actually vibed with the most when I was there was fucking Justice. I was not expecting it at all, but when we were just chilling and talking, it was just so easy. Like we would like we were just chilling, dude. Anytime that we were talking, I didn't go out of my way to hang out with anybody, but it was just like we were just chilling, dude. Did he sing you a song? No, there was no singing. But yeah, LA was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. It reinforced into my brain that I have absolutely no desire to live in a large city, like literally zero. I want to stay as far away from large cities as humanly possible. My throat was hurting being outside in LA. It was awful. Okay. There were it was the worst juxtaposition of just financial situations that I've ever seen in my life. Um it was so mind blowing because you hear these things, right? You hear these kinds of things about how bad it is in large cities and things like that. But when I was in LA, the amount of times where I would see homeless people having like literally the worst experience of their entire lives directly next to multi-million-dollar skyscrapers, and just people walking down the street with like $10,000 to $20,000 worth of things just equipped to their person, right next to a person having the worst experience of their entire life. It was everywhere. There was like it was just fucking mind-blowing. And then on top of that, beyond that, when I landed in LA and I got to the hotel, right? I landed in LA, I got to the hotel, I put my stuff down and I was like, I kind of want to get food, right? And GGG gave us like vouchers and stuff like that for food and all that kind of good stuff. But I didn't want to eat hotel food, sorry. Like all of the rest of the PWE people were all like in the restaurant in the hotel the entire time, always eating. I'm like, fuck that shit, dude. I'm gonna go find some good food. I walk outside and I walk towards this like food vendor stall kind of thing where there's just a bunch of, it's like an open market kind of thing. I walk towards that and literally within 5 minutes of leaving, I see two guys getting in a fist fight in the middle of the like in the middle of the main downtown street in LA. And I'm just like, damn, what a good introduction to this city. Just two people just having a fucking fist fight in the middle of the road. The fist fight didn't faze me that much. What did make me kind of laugh, though, is the fact that not only was there a fist fight in the middle of the road, no one cared. The people who were driving just calmly drove around them like it was something that just happened every single day, and no one even flinched, no one blinked, no one anything. Just people just drove around them as they were sitting there literally beating the fucking shit out of each other. God, it was just like I was just like, okay, dude, what an introduction, man. Downtown LA is not, I mean, where do you go? where do you go? I was in downtown LA, right? Let's see. Is there an estimate when PWE 2 will be out to play for everybody? I have no idea. Beta's probably later this year still. Let's see. How's the weather compared to Florida? I was only in LA. I didn't go anywhere super far. So like weather-wise, I mean, I kind of didn't get an experience with that, but the just amount of smog that was in that large of a city, no thanks, dude. Same in NYC, just mind your business. Yeah, just insane, man. Okay, so LA trip was really fun. Jonathan was super cool. Almost everybody I talked to PoE-wise was super cool. There was only one person that I talked to where I kind of got like sort of weird vibes from, and it was just because we like disagreed on something with PoE. And that was Noogie. It wasn't anything serious, it was just kind of funny. But who else did I meet? I met a bunch of people. I met Denny. Denny was cool. I met the I'm terrible with names and I don't remember their names, but the two guys that do the Exile podcast, horrible with names. They were both super cool. Who else did I talk with? Catmaster and I walked to some coffee shop, so that was interesting. He went with me to Egg Slut, which was really fun. I went with Captain Lance. Captain Lance and Juice and I all went to go get food from that same place that I went to. Captain Lance was super cool. Who else? There's somebody that I'm forgetting. There's a particular name that I'm forgetting. I don't know. I'll think of it over time. But either way, LA was super cool. Vast majority of the PoE people were super cool. Had absolutely no issues with them. But yeah, PoE 2. So if you're interested in what I played while I was there, I played the monk. Now, I went in there knowing that they kind of wanted us to play couch co-op, but I didn't want to play couch co-op because I'm gonna be real with you, chat. I don't give a shit about couch co-op. I don't plan on playing I don't plan on playing PoE 2 really with a bunch of other people most of the time. Like, I play these games as solo, and I think most people play single player, so I was like, why would I play PoE with someone when that's not the experience that I'm trying to understand so that I can like translate it to you? And I wanted to play Melee. I wanted to see how Melee felt. Now they had like a new class and everything that's already been revealed and already talked about and all that kind of stuff. Like, but I didn't really care. I want to play Melee. Now, they had us on a PS5, right? And we're gonna skip through a decent amount of this because it's literally just the vast majority of the first however long is just me trying to figure out how to actually play with a controller and how to play PoE 2. Because keep in mind, I've won. Never played PoE 2 before. I didn't go to any of the previous events. I haven't messed around with anything. All that I have done was 0. Like, I'd just seen stuff, okay? You upload the raw clips somewhere? Maybe I'll see. They're huge. I have 5 hours of footage. But the vast majority of the beginning of this is just me figuring stuff out. So we're gonna skip most of this, okay? I want to get to this first boss here. So this is my first experience trying to figure it out, and TLDR when it comes to Melee, there's a insanely steep learning curve to how you actually have to play the game. Because when I first started trying to understand Melee, I kind of was just failing. So here we go. So this is the first boss. I mean, Hillock vibes immediately, you know? Now, when you start as the monk, you only have one skill, and that one skill is a slam. It's this lightning ability that you see here. Now, if you don't know how PoE works, or PoE 2 works, like if you know absolutely nothing, basically one of the biggest mechanics in PoE 2 is this little stun bar underneath bosses, and when this thing gets filled, they just get stunned for a while, right? So you'll see that when that bar ends up getting all the way to the top, he just kind of like lays down on the ground and you can beat his face in for a little bit. So you'll see here, he got stunned for a moment, right? And it's trying to teach you the game, it's trying to tell you about mana and all that kind of stuff and whatever, right? This fight was super uneventful. It was super simple. I expected it to be super simple. White mobs in the next zone are more difficult than this boss fight. Unironically. How many times did you die due to the controller? Honestly, I didn't have too many issues with the controller itself, right? The controller itself wasn't that big of a deal. Now, I'm gonna skip most of the town just because it's very boring. We'll do more town stuff later on because I've actually learned how to do it. Also, loud ass voice. Yeah, do you hear how loud this is?
Enemies. Staggering pop.
I don't know why the voice describing it's what's his name from the videos that GG puts out, but it's just so loud in here. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it. It's just insanely loud. But anyways, so as I said previously, the white mobs in this zone are more difficult than that last boss. And I'm not joking at all here. These mobs in this zone are more difficult than the first, like the Hillock boss that you run into. The Hillock boss is super easy. That first boss is super easy. These monsters are more difficult than that. Now the reason I say that is because you'll see here in a moment once I'm not fighting one or two things. These wolves and just the mobs in general, like, look, I got hit once there, right? Watch this random zombie hit me once. That took a third of my health. Okay, that's just one zombie randomly hitting me once. Now, this might be a melee problem. This might be a, this could just be like like, look at that. Look at this one wolf. I wish that the left button would take me back not as far. Watch how much damage this one wolf does. This is just one wolf. That's how much damage it does. It just sits there and just like destroys you. So when you get into a situation where there's like 2 or 3 wolves, wolves are particularly the worst part of this entire zone. There's going to be a lot of me trying to figure out this rebind window and stuff. All right, here we go. Because I have no idea what's going on with the wolves, right? Like, I have no idea what's going on with this. Look at this. Watch this. Do you see how much damage I took there? Wolves are the new Roas? Absolutely. Like, look at this. I actually could not do anything there. So you walk up to the wolves, I do my first attack, and then I try to attack again, and from that point, I'm dead. Well, what was your gear like? I just left town for the first time. Like, I just entered town, and this is me leaving town for the first time ever. I had, like, the gear that dropped off of Hillock. I think I equipped, like, 1 or 2 random pieces of whites. Now, the issue here is not actually the wolves, okay? Here's the thing. The issue here is the way that I'm going about playing it. So if you watch, I just walk up to them, I just start trying to attack, right? Because, you know, in PoE, you're used to just you just attack, right? And I die. It takes me a little while, but I start to actually figure out what you're supposed to do here. And the thing that you're actually supposed to do here is what I tried to do right there. You actually have to like preemptively attack as these faster mobs are running up to you. And eventually I start to figure it out. But I mean, like, look at the amount of damage that happens to me here. Like, do you see how much damage I took there? And these are just random white wolves. Now, I think that these wolves are actually overtuned by a decent amount. But this gets, like look at that damage, dude. This is just 2 wolves. Like, look at this. Watch my health. As soon as I start trying to attack there, I actually almost die. I actually almost die within just trying to fight the first few wolves. Now, as I said, this does get better over time, and we're gonna kind of move forward a little bit here because we've got like 5 hours to go through. One thing that I will say is that I don't like the fountain. I don't like the well. They said that, you know, oh, it's not so bad once you do it. I dislike the well. I think it's dumb. Like it's okay. It's cool. You walk over, you grab the well, but Pandora's box has been open on that. It just feels bad. Now at this point, you start to see one of the major problems with melee, right? Melee does still have one big problem. And that problem that you run into is situations like this. So we're going to walk up here to this group of enemies, okay? Here's my problem. Melee is missing 1 or 2 things, okay? For the most part, especially on bosses, melee actually feels great. I had less problems on melee than most of the people around me when it came to bosses, right? Like, bosses were actually easier for melee almost all the time compared to, unless people were playing Ranger. I think Ranger, like, there was this like Poison Ranger build that was kind of overpowered. But for everybody else, I actually had an easier time on bosses. However, when you get into situations like this, where there's one powerful ranged mob, okay? So this right here is like a witch that shoots projectiles and stuff, right? These are little fast melee mobs, and then these wolves are kind of like middle tier mobs, right? So the problem that you run into here is that if you have one strong range mob and a bunch of little fast melee mobs, you get into this situation where you can't really ever attack effectively. This is the main problem with melee. So watch what happens here. Now, you see how it did this attack, right? Where it put this down, so I rolled backwards. Do you see how quickly these melee mobs closed the gap with me even after I roll? It's like, watch. I can't actually get away from them, so I have to attack. This is my main issue, right? Is that for the most part, this is essentially the first zone in the game. Yeah. So this is the very first real zone in the game, and I'm already struggling with this, and it doesn't improve over the course of time. I think that Melee needs some kind of something that allows them to create better distance, even if it's on a cooldown, or put some kind of like barrier in between you and the enemy to give you just a little bit of room. Because the problem is that this is the only way you can deal with it. If there's a strong range mob, you just have to run away. Like there's nothing else you can do. You have to run away. You have to get away from the range mob. This gets significantly worse towards the end of Act 1 and the start of Act 2, but we'll see that in a little bit. But I start to learn here that you have to kind of like preemptively attack, at least with slams. This gets different when I start using different abilities. Yeah, I mean, you can see the gear that I had, right? Like, I didn't have that much gear because basically nothing dropped for me. I picked up pretty much everything, but the gear that I had was like a ring and a pair of boots and some stuff, right? I didn't get anything else when it came to drops from before. I do kind of agree, Amal. Like, I think that this is definitely a problem, but at the same time, this zone did set me up very well for the rest of the game and understanding how I should be playing. Because once I figured this out, it actually wasn't that big of a deal until 1 or 2 places later on. There are still some issues, but it did kind of set me up. So let's go ahead and move ahead. So this is the first boss, right? So grab the waypoint, and then you can we can take a little bit of a look at the map there. I need to get VLC where I can do like 2 seconds back or something. Okay, so this is like the mini map. This is the area that we're going to. Actually kind of like this. I think it looks kind of nice. It looks nice and stylized. Like, it's fine. We travel all the way through here, and then this is the end of Act 1. But let's go ahead and go into the first zone. So this is the first real boss, I guess you could call it. So this area is actually a little easier for Melee. Because it's so tight quarters, I do still have to learn what all of the enemies do, but because it's so tight quarters, it's a lot easier to move around, right? Why did what just happened to my chat? I just get like forcibly logged out of my chat? Hold on. I don't know why I just got logged out of Restream chat. And now I have to do a CAPTCHA? Come on, dude. How many captchas do I have to do, brother? How did someone join this chat? Oh, I joined the chat. Did my internet just cut out? Is that what happened? Oh, I might have lost the internet for a second, like on my main internet. Maybe that's what that was. Yo, stop making me do captchas. Holy shit. How many captchas do I need to do? This is like the 5th captcha. Hello? Holy, I can't even see chat. Finally, okay. All right, so I don't know why I don't know what that was. So hold on. Dux is a robot. You heard it here first. Yes. Apparently I can't get through a fucking CAPTCHA. Anyways, I missed a little bit of chat. I can't it's just completely gone. I can't see what anybody said for the last like 10 seconds, so I'm just gonna have to ignore it. But is that just the first zone type of problem? Aren't there moves that give distance later? I never got access to any. So I never got access to any moves that gave me meaningful distance early on, and that's kind of one of my main complaints. If you said anything in the last like 10-15 seconds while I was dealing with that you wanted me to see, you'll have to say it again, because it's just not on any of my screens for some reason. Now, when I was kind of interacting with playing Melee here, you'll see that it actually gets a bit easier in this kind of zone, because you have control over your left and your right. Because the enemies can't really get around you, you can back up and they can't swarm around you. That was a problem that I ran into quite a bit, was getting swarmed later on. But yeah, so let's keep on going. So we're gonna move through this zone pretty quickly because there's not really a lot to go over here. It's just kind of me learning the mobs. There's nothing super impactful here. I think I do get access to a skill, right? Oh, I don't figure out how to use Tempest Spell for a long time. So what I don't realize is that there's this skill called Tempest Spell down here, right? And it's kind of this it's just like you put this bell on the ground and you hit it a whole bunch of times. But I don't realize that this doesn't work with slams. Am I not seeing chat at all now? Is my chat not updating? Because I'm seeing chat pop up on the screen over there, but I'm not actually seeing. What the... Is my internet out again? What is happening? All right, hold up. I don't know. I'm using Restream chat and it's just not working for some reason. Okay. What's up, Trife? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Let me just see if I can just go back. That's the problem. They're doing that, and it's bad, which it means it sucks, which reinforces my early point. This is trash. The fact this level of analysis is okay. Here, see you fine on YouTube. Yeah, the stream is fine. Okay, now I'm seeing chat. All right, now it's actually updating. Fun. Internet, PC, every kind of problem you could imagine. Now I can see chat. Now it's actually showing up. Okay, anyways, so keep in mind here a little bit, this is still very early alpha. Try to keep all of that in mind when I'm talking about the problems that I'm seeing here. I'm trying to explain to you what I was thinking at the time as I was going through here, but this is a different game, and I know a lot of people were kind of worried that it would just be Dark Souls but PoE, and I can say pretty comfortably that it doesn't feel like Dark Souls. I really dislike Dark Souls. I just don't like the way that the gameplay in Dark Souls feels, and PoE 2 does not feel like Dark Souls. It definitely feels much different than that. Now, keep in mind when it comes to the melee perspective, I do think there are a decent amount of problems that melee itself runs into. One other thing is that the passive skill tree is not super well fleshed out at this point. There's a decent amount of stuff that you can get, but realistically only this like first area is even done right now. Like most of the rest of this stuff, there's like a lot of just filler stuff in here. So there's not much reason to go through the skill tree at all. Let's try to get to this first boss here. I think did I die here? Oh no, I just go back to town to fill back up and empty my inventory. Let's get to this first boss. Okay, so this is the first boss, this is the Devourer. A lot of people struggled with this boss. Both of the people that were next to me, and the people who were in front of me, they all struggled with this boss a lot. However, I did not. Now here's the point where I say that melee actually has quite an easy time on bosses. I got really close to dying once here, and it was kind of an unfair scenario. If I had died there, I probably could have got him the second time. But there's only about one situation in this entire fight where I actually feel in danger, and it was just because I got clipped by an ability by like that much. So the thing about melee, and Jonathan talked about this in some of the interviews, is that since you are closer to the boss, it is actually easier to survive just because you can get out of the way, right? I had very little issues with most of the first bosses. So there's abilities like that that don't have great, like, there's no circle or anything that shows you exactly how big the AoE is. So when he's coming up from the ground here, it shows you that, but it's not 100% accurate. But being closer just allows you to get around the boss much faster and just stay safer. I think if I remember correctly, the time where I almost die is... there's like a circle ability on the ground down in like the left over here somewhere. I think is the time that I get really close to death. think it's here. Yeah, so I roll the wrong way. So he goes underground, and I'm trying to roll thinking he's going to like do another attack, right? And I roll the wrong way into the circle and get hit by it. That's the only time that I almost die out of this entire thing. I think I get like a little close. I get hit by like one ability maybe, and that gets me slightly low. Yeah, like right here, but then I just use a flask and I'm fine. Yeah, that was the only time that I even got close to death. And I watched a bunch of people around me die like 5 or 6 times of this boss, if not more. But they were all playing range. Does skill do a flip every single time, or does it combo with a shorter animation if you stay in place? It does the kind of flip thing pretty much every time. It's a slam, so I stop using this skill pretty much as soon as I possibly can, because I dislike it. But there's problems with other skills that you get later on as well, but we'll talk about those when we get there. Yeah, I dislike this skill. It's still useful for a long time, and you'll see why here in a minute, because I get access to a new skill that combos with it. So we fight that boss. I kill that pretty much no issue. I'm trying to figure out Tempest Bell here, because I'm wondering why I'm not getting stacks of it, is what I'm thinking when I'm playing here. And I just don't realize that you don't get combo points from slams. You only get combo points from strikes. So I figure this out later, but right now I'm just like, why the fuck is this skill just not working? And I don't see, because Octavian was like walking around answering questions, but he wasn't near me at the time. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What's your opinion on having to use combo or multiple skills? I actually kind of like it in the way that PoE 2 is set up. In PoE 1 it doesn't feel great, but at least from here. So this is the combo skill that we get, okay? So what this does is this gives us a what is it?
Skill.
Oh yeah, I go through some other shit. That's all no longer in. So I don't need to worry about it. All right. I want to move to the next zone. We'll talk about this new skill that I get here in a second. Actually, don't I fight another boss? Yeah, okay. So you see how these monsters, I got this new skill. Do you see how these monsters, when they're low, they get this like blue icon on them? So here's where I learned how to auto attack. So this is me learning how to auto attack, and you can see that I'm getting stacks of this bell. This is where I figure out how to use the bell, I think. But you'll see these monsters get this like little blue flame on them, right? I have this new ability where when I use it on them, when they have this little blue flame, it gives me a power charge. I don't know. Yeah, okay, there, I figure it out. So you can't see it, but underneath down here, underneath the camera, move this here. Underneath the camera, you'll see the power charge down there, and it lasts for like 20 seconds, okay? So just gonna show you that real quick. So now I have a power charge, and when you have a power charge and you use this slam ability, it is very different, right? Am I gonna use it here? Come on, use it before the power charge is gone. Come on, dumbass. Okay, so you saw that there, right? You saw how it does like the big giant wind up, and then it does like 3 tendrils that go out. The ability when you have a power charge is actually really useful for clear. Now, this boss was kind of annoying only because she spawns wolves. That's the only issue I really had with this boss, right? Is that the actual boss fight itself is really easy. The problem that I was struggling with was fighting the wolves. But you can kind of see right there, when you get a power charge and you use it on the enemies, it does a lot more damage and a lot bigger AoE, and it's much easier to clear stuff. So like, I'll probably, yeah, I got interrupted there. I'll probably try to use it here. Yeah, so it just one-shots the wolves, and then you have a much easier time, right? So the only real pain that I remember with this boss was just that I kept having to back off to deal with the wolves, and it was really hard to get damage in on her. That was the only issue that I had here. I think this is more so of a balancing issue with the wolves rather than a balancing issue with this boss in particular, and probably just like melee woes. Here, realistically, looking back, I should have been using auto attacks and the bell. That would have been better here, but I didn't realize that at the time. I do agree that the stun is too high. Stun is a really big problem for melee. That's one of the biggest problems. I even spec'd into like stun threshold very early on in the passive tree, and I still had issues with it. But I do think the wolves were just stunning me far too much, like way more than they should have been. But yeah, so I took care of that. It was a side boss, so it gives you like a little extra thing to deal with. Okay, so let's move on to the next zone here. I think I get lost. No, okay, so I'm in the next zone here.
My ancestors would not enter such places for fear of the first ones. Still.
So this has like some werewolf mobs and some like smaller mobs that kind of remind me of the little monkeys. And this is the first point where I kind of feel overwhelmed. Because you kind of see like the issue that I'm running into, yeah, is that when there's a lot of monsters around you, it really feels overwhelming. Also, the issue that you're seeing here where it's like lagging, this is because of the way that they had it set up. Because they wanted to do like couch co-op and a bunch of other things, they kind of had to network it all together, and there were some issues with the internet at the hotel. Everyone experienced the lag at the same exact time. Yo, what's up, Honra? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna look like Gandalf. I'm actually a functioning human being. Sorry. Yeah, okay, so let's move through here a little bit. Not really much going on here besides me just figuring out how stuff works. I'm gonna try to not spoil too much story stuff for you if I can help it, like the talking and all of that. Alright, I think this is the next boss that we run into. This area has like a boss that follows you around, I think. I also think I get confused here because I can't get a ritual to work. I don't think there's very much notable stuff here, though. We're gonna try to skip through this. Remember, we have 5 or 6 hours of footage to get through, so I don't wanna sit here for too long. Okay, yeah, so this was summoning the boss, I'm pretty sure. We have to like start these little obelisks and then kill a bunch of mobs around them, and then we get to the boss. So let's actually go to the point where we're fighting the boss. Not yet. Where is this boss? Okay, here we go. So we hit this last obelisk of rust, and then we fight the boss.
Just one more.
I don't remember a ton about this boss. I think it was relatively easy, if I remember correctly. I don't know that I died. How is gear compared to PoE1? It's definitely acquired less quickly. I don't know how they're balancing like gear drops and such, but I actually got really unlucky with gear compared to most of the people around me, unfortunately. When I was looking at the people who were nearby playing, they had significantly more gear than I did in a lot of cases. I found a bunch of really good gear for other classes and other specs that would have been super nice to have for them, but I never found really any good gear for melee. Classic. I can't remember if this boss kills me. But you can kind of see that as melee, I don't feel super in danger most of the time. The darkness is kind of a problem with playing it on console and just the way that this is recorded. I can try to... Let me see if I can... Let me see if I can, like, add an extra color correction and just get the... Okay, can you guys see it a little bit better now? Does that look better? I just added some brightness to the color correction. Okay. It has to do with the recording and also just the fact that it was on a PS5. But I added some brightness, so hopefully that yeah. On PC, you'll be able to just like manipulate these values pretty easily, but on console, it was like you'd have to go through like the TV settings and such to be able to do all of that, and we didn't have access to any of that.
The old magics, not to be feared.
Yeah, so Melee does have a much easier time when it comes to bosses in particular. And it is because of what you're saying. Like, being able to move around the boss in that way just so easily compared to being at range where you can't really get around them too easily, it definitely does make it quite a bit more feasible to fight bosses. But there's some big problems with fighting just groups of mobs, and there's one situation where I kind of figure it out that we'll see towards the end of Act 1. They made you play on a PS5 and gave you an Xbox controller as a freebie? I know, right? Okay, so we'll move forward a little bit. This is the point where I kind of have gear, but none of it's really good. I try to use like the gear. I try to use like the items that I find to improve the gear as best I can. What ability did I just get? I got Killing Palm or Siphoning Strike. I can't remember. I know I get an ability around here that I just end up never really using. Okay, that's the end of the first one. Okay. That's the end of the first clip. Okay, let's keep moving on. I'm gonna try really hard to skip most of the story stuff and just focus on the gameplay, because I don't want to like spoil any story or anything like that. I just want to focus on fighting shit. A lot of the skills are somewhat restrictive when it comes to the weapon type that you can use. I don't know that the slam itself is quarterstaff only. Maybe if I show it at some point. Okay, here's where I kind of figure out how to use, because we got a new ability that gives us like a new strike, right? You'll see the strike I'm using that's kind of teleporting me to the enemies. And this is where I figure out how to use the bell. I have one problem with the bell. The issue with the bell when you're using a controller is that you don't auto lock onto the bell. If you notice my character whenever I'm fighting something, you'll see that it targets something, right? If you look at the enemies that I'm facing, you'll see that one of them gets a red outline at any given point, yeah? And that's the monster that console is auto-targeting, right? You cannot auto-target the bell. So you see how when you hit the bell here, it does this like pulse AoE thing that happens, right? And it just hits all the enemies around you. It's actually relatively hard to target that bell. One thing that you end up having to do that I figure out significantly later, we're talking like halfway through Act 2, I figure out that you kind of just have to use the second thumb pad, like the second stick, to force yourself to target the bell. It's kind of a little bit annoying because you're trying to press buttons at the same time. But I think that they need to give that bell auto target like priority. Like I think if that bell is down, it should be the like #1 top priority for things that you're attacking, right? So yeah, it's basically like you put the bell down, and when you hit the bell, it does an AoE around it. It's a really nice ability, and it's really useful. It's just hard to target. All right, let's keep moving forward a little bit. I think I get lost in the zone. Yeah, I get lost in the zone for a while. Okay, so here's the next zone. So this is another one of those like closed off zones, which ends up being a little bit easier. But this is the first point where it kind of feels like PoE 2 diverts from how PoE 1 made zones. This zone feels like you're kind of getting lost, right? This zone kind of feels like the Vol zone. You know that first Vol zone that you get into that in Act 2 where you have no clue where you're going? That's kind of the first time that it feels like this to me. So here we'll get to the next boss. I don't remember a lot about this boss. I seem to remember being slightly confused about it. If I remember correctly, the thing that confused me is I didn't realize that stepping on the little mushrooms does damage to you for a little bit. But this boss kind of reminds me of that new map boss. It's not new, but relatively new. You know the one I'm talking about, right? The one that picks up the rock and throws it at the ground. This boss reminds me a ton of that boss. He acts just like him. I think it's there that I learn that you can't stand on the little mushroom things because they do damage to you. I think I figured that out there. So at this point, okay, so here, or right there, you can kind of see my issue with the bell. Now, you see when I'm trying to attack the bell here, but you see how my character just kind of ignores it? Because the bell technically does more damage, but it's just really hard to target it. Because like here, I'm trying to target the bell, but it's very difficult to. Look, it's kind of funny. Does it do anything beyond the dash? Extra strike range. This is the new main strike that I try using for a while, is this ability that you're seeing right here. It does dash to the enemy, and it just does a percentage of damage. It does more than auto attacking does, essentially. And it gives you charges for the bell. It's a very basic skill. It doesn't do anything super special. It just has that dash, the gap closer thing. Okay, so we'll keep moving on here through this zone. I think I get lost in this zone for a while again. It's like I keep getting turned around and I don't exactly know where I'm supposed to be going. Okay, here's one thing that I don't like. You can only have one copy of a support gem, as far as I can tell. And I figured this out here, and it's very confusing when I get the next one. You can only have one copy of a support gem, even if you have like multiple skills and stuff like that. Very, very frustrating that I couldn't like put more links on all of my skills. You find yourself doing combo skills or just focusing one, maybe two? Eventually, I just start focusing on one or two skills. The combos are very good when you can use them. So for example here, when I'm just fighting single enemies, right? I prefer to use the strike skill. And then if there's a big group of enemies where I can get a power charge, I'll use the slam like this to clear them out. And that works perfectly fine. Later on, I get an ability that I just use for everything, and I just ignored most other things. Let's go forward here. Okay, so I make a really big mistake in this zone. So you see how on the right it has two quests, right? So you're supposed to go to the first one first. I end up going to the second one and causing myself a lot of problems. Because I go to the mausoleum here.
There is something...
So here we're searching for the mausoleum for Draven and his consort, right? I should have went to the other one first. This is the first boss that gives me a lot of issues. And this is the first zone that gives me a lot of issues. This is also where I learn one of my least favorite things about PoE 2, I think, is this zone. So funny enough, we get through this zone, right? Like, I actually get through the zone pretty easily and get to the boss. I'm going to be in this zone for a long time, so I'm going to skip the first portion of this. You notice how quickly I get through this zone? Like, we just start, you know, I go forward a little bit, and immediately I'm at the boss, right? Okay. This boss is super confusing. So here's kind of a problem that I run into around this point, is that you're limited on how many life flasks you have, right? You see how much damage this guy does though, right? So I'm starting to kind of learn how his pattern does. However, there's one mechanic of this fight that I don't learn, because I think I have to fight this guy 4 or 5 times, unironically. There's one thing to this fight that I don't figure out until much later. And I was just genuinely confused. So I figured out how to fight that. You see those corpses, right? Like, you see those corpses being pulled to him? I don't realize until later in the fight that you actually are supposed to destroy those corpses. I just don't realize it. I notice one, I like attack it there, right? But I don't know that you're supposed to do it. When he gets powered up by those corpses, he gets significantly stronger, right? Also, and this is the main important part with it, is that when you destroy those corpses, it spawns enemies. I didn't notice anything obvious that told me that, no. But here, I'm just attacking him, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't really realize it. But you see how I stood on one of the corpses, and now it spawned these skeletons, right? The problem that I run into here is that I run out of flasks. And it takes a lot of enemies to kill in a boss fight to be able to get flasks, right? Like, it takes a ton. So at this point, I feel like I've pretty much understood the fight, right? I'm struggling with the bell here again. But I'm out of mana here. I don't know if I remember to use mana flasks or if they even exist. I can't remember. I'm still struggling with the controller, like, controls a little bit, and I'm not really understanding. But here's the point where I kind of get overwhelmed, right? Like, you see how many enemies are here, yeah? I'm very low on health flasks. He's not even really close to dead yet. And then I think, yeah, okay, so I paused there because the server lagged. But I'm trying to clear out the enemies, hoping that I'll get like life flasks or something from it, but I'm not getting life flasks, right? And eventually I just die because I don't have any way to heal myself. There's not really anything I can do at this point. I just die. Here's where I learn one of my least favorite things. Or maybe no, I don't actually learn it here because this is set up properly. I'll talk about that later in Act 2 then. I struggle with this boss for a super long time. Right? Like, I sit here and I just die to him over and over and over again. I get super confused. So eventually I respawn at the encampment, right? And I think I did that on accident. I think I pressed the wrong button, yeah? So I go to the mausoleum. And then I realize, or I go to the mausoleum, I go to the graveyard, and then I realize, look at the zone. You notice how the zone reset? You notice how all of the enemies are back? So, when you die in a zone in PoE 2 that is, when you die in a zone in PoE 2, the zone resets. So if in Act 2, you still get to see your map, but all of the enemies respawn in the entire zone. And that becomes a big problem later on in Act 2. In Act 1, they have plenty of little checkpoints, so it's not that big of a deal. In Act 2, they have significantly less checkpoints, and it's super annoying. Is it a boss problem figuring out or extra trash gear problem? It's a little bit of both, I think. Anyways, we're gonna skip through a bunch of me just getting lost and not finding the boss. And then I'm like trying to fix my gear. Is it D2 style life flasks? It's life flasks like you're used to. It's just in PoE 2 you can press one button and it will use any of your life flasks, at least on console. Okay, this is where I figure it out, I think. All right, so I make added lightning damage, right? Or I'm trying to make added lightning damage. And then I make it, yeah? But it's not letting me make it for some reason. I don't really understand why. You see that line down at the bottom there, right? You see where it says, you cannot have multiple copies of the same support gem socketed at the same time. This was really frustrating because I was trying to use multiple skills and the only damage support gem that I had was added lightning damage. That was all that I could make, right? Like you guys see that all I can make is this added lightning damage, right? Because here, look, I have like added lightning damage and increased AoE, and that's all that I can do, right? Like this is all I've got. This is the only damage support gem that I can make from the uncut gem, right? So I can only put it on one skill. This was very confusing to me, and it made no sense because I'm like, why can't I use added lightning damage on my other skills? If there were more options, this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but with me only having access to this one support gem, it felt very annoying, right? It felt super, super, super frustrating. That's why I spend like 5 minutes in this menu and I'm like, why can't I use this? Like, what's going on? I'm super confused, trying to figure out what's going on, and I eventually just give up because I'm just like, well, I've only got like 6 hours, so I need to push forward, right? Anyways, I spend a bunch of time in this zone. I get lost for a while. I think I finally take him down. Yeah, okay, so the first time I come back to him, after having like time to think about the fight, I finally kind of realize what I'm supposed to do here, right? And what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to just beat his ass. So I go and I stop these minions, but then I think I kind of ignore them a little bit. Like I think I get a charge from this guy here and then I just like clear them all out. And then I kind of just start beating the boss again because I'm just like, I can't fuck around anymore. The minions don't matter that much, right? Like they just don't. I try to start using the bell to clear them out. I start just trying to kill the boss instead of worrying about anything else going on because I was just getting overwhelmed. And just focusing the boss and not doing the mechanic for a lot of it seemed to eventually be better. So yeah. So I started just trying to fight him and just kill him with the minions if I can help it. And then he goes down and it's no problem. So this is the point where I kind of figure out, oh, I'm supposed to do this the other way around. So I go to the other zone. Yeah, so I find the other tomb, right? This is where I realize that, oh, I was supposed to do this first. Okay, that's the end of that one. All right. Because you're supposed to fight this boss first. This is the other boss of the duo, right? This is the chick that helps him out. So here I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this mechanic, and I can't figure anything out. I just realize it's just irrelevant. It doesn't matter. But like, look at how much easier this boss is. She just does nothing. They like their green circles. To be fair, this is like a husband and wife boss. You see how the other boss is helping her now? So this is the same boss that was helping the other guy. You see how quickly she dies and how easy that fight was? And I had just no issues. Like, she spawned almost no enemies. She didn't really use very many attacks. If I had went here and leveled up a little bit extra, the other boss would have been a joke, right? Like, absolute, just complete joke. All right, then I think this is like, I think the halfway point boss or something. I think I died to this boss one time. It's been a little over a month since I've seen this footage, so I don't exactly remember. I don't remember if this is the halfway point boss or not. I don't know if there was a halfway point. Oh no, I remember the halfway point boss. I died quite a bit to the halfway point boss. This is just another random boss. I think this boss was relatively easy from what I remember. He just has a couple simple abilities. He doesn't really have a ton of life. He just does this like back and forth. Random mob packs being more difficult than single rares or uniques. Yeah, you'll see a lot of that coming up. I struggle super hard with a lot of these just random packs. Okay, so I think this zone is pretty uneventful. I think this zone has a lot of lag in it. If I remember correctly, the game just like lags a ton. Yeah, like the game was lagging a bunch here, so I have to step away because it's like not working. I think I try to find the boss here. Because I know there's a side boss in this zone that I eventually fight. Oh, so I found a ritual here, right? This is very obvious this is a ritual, yeah? I could never get it working. I don't know if it just wasn't activated, if it wasn't, like, what was going on with this. But I couldn't get it working. I never got it to actually activate. I asked a couple of people, and no one seems to know anything about it getting it to activate, so I don't know. But yeah, there's just a random ritual here. You can see it kind of like glowing a little bit, and I thought, oh, I have to kill all the enemies, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, a few more enemies left, right? I didn't know if I had to just drag more enemies to the ritual circle, but I couldn't really find any more, so eventually I just give up. All right, there should be a boss here at some point. I think I remember seeing this boss in one of the previews, so I'm like looking for it. Here it is. Okay, so this is where I find the boss. This boss is kind of cool, but unfortunately the game lags a bunch during it. You see this weird VSync problem, the screen tearing that's going on? Like, I don't know if you can see it, but it was really super apparent to me. It's just like this like screen tear just kind of like flows through the screen. It was super apparent to me when I was actually playing the game. It was super annoying. Yo, what's up, Corey? Does the empowered lightning slam skill interact with the bell? All of your melee attacks interact with the bell, but not in special ways. You just hit them. Yeah, there's a bunch of lag, as you can see here. Unfortunately, this entire boss fight is kind of just lagging, so I don't even know if it did it properly. Yeah. I keep pausing because I don't know what to do, because the boss is... because I'm... You hear that noise? I was like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Anyways, this boss like runs away and tries to like pick stuff up. It was super unfortunate because this boss is really cool. I was really sad that it was lagging during this boss fight. I think I was talking to somebody here. Okay. Yeah, this boss will like go and interact with the environment and stuff as you fight him more and more. You'll like pick up different weapons and use them to fight you. But I think because of the lag, this boss kind of broke a little bit. Because he like picks up the bell, breaks the door with it. But I don't know. I don't know if I broke this boss by stunning him at the wrong time, but I think he was supposed to do more. Yeah, he like runs away from you and goes into one of these little zones. But one thing I did notice is that there were some bosses where their stun threshold was just super tiny. And they just kind of died instantly. This was one of those bosses. It is a side boss, but he didn't have like any life whatsoever. All right, so let me see if I can find it. I was actually really upset in this zone. Oh yeah, I died here. Let's see why I died. I don't remember why I died. I think I just got surrounded. Yeah, I just got full surrounded. All right. I was actually really upset in this zone because I think let me see if I can find it here. Oh, okay, so we gotta go to the next video. You cannot dodge through enemies, they body block. It's one of the main problems with melee, and you'll see it later. Trying to move through the zone. Okay. I ran into this well, and I was super sad that it didn't let me refill my flasks. Okay, here's the first problem enemy in the game, okay? These mercenaries. Here's the problem where melee actually starts becoming an issue. This is just where it begins. It gets way worse later. This is where melee starts becoming like a genuine problem. Let's see if I can find an example of it around here. It might not happen yet. Okay, yeah, I wanted to be able to drink from this well. I wanted them to be able to refill my flask at that well, and I couldn't do it. Like, look, I'm even like sitting here staring at the well, and I'm like, why can't I redo my flasks? Okay, here we go. Right here. You see this mob? This is a rare ranged mob. Rare ranged mobs are an absolute menace. These are more difficult than most of the bosses that I fought in the entire game. So this example of it is not that bad simply because there's no other melee mobs. But do you see how much damage they do? Like, look at that. Like, I walk around the corner and instantly die. So now that I'm able to get up to him and stun him, it's not a problem anymore. This will be a problem. This will be a much worse problem later. But you can see how much damage those ranged rare mobs do. When they start getting combined with like groups of fast melee mobs, it becomes a significant issue. The game looked beautiful. Like, even on console, the game looked amazing. All right, this boss fight that's coming up, this is the halfway point boss. I died here a lot. It took me quite a while to be able to get the feel of this boss down. Does the bell block projectiles? As far as I know, it does not, but it's hard to get the bell working most of the time anyways. I thought the game was very fun. It is slow, but the combat does feel like enjoyable. It's definitely very, very different from how normal PoE is. But this is Act 1 for sure. But I did enjoy it quite a bit. I had a lot of fun. All right, let's move forward a little bit to the boss. I think I died there. Okay, here's the boss. That is a stun, yes. I am getting stunned constantly.
Stop. Just wait. Surely we can.
You have been sentenced to death.
Great will take you, bastard!
Argon deserves one last execution.
It takes me a while to get this boss down. It also doesn't help that it's like lagging really poorly. Like the internet is just awful at this point. So I'm lagging a bunch. That doesn't help either. This is what I want slams to feel like. I want slams to feel like what this guy is playing. Like, this boss is playing a better character than I am, and I want to play this character. So yeah, it just straight one-shots me. So I'm like, okay, I can't get hit by this guy even once.
They've all gone mad. Don't do this.
Ogum deserves one last execution.
Eventually, I kind of start to figure out how you're supposed to fight this boss. But it takes me a while.
You're mine.
Because eventually I realized that when he does his normal swing, he always does 2 swings, right? When he does his big charge up, he's doing like a big circle AoE that you have to just get away from him. Unfortunately, he had like his little stun moment there, and I couldn't make use of it.
Your end comes.
Yeah, the big problem with this boss is that I just think my gear was bad. And anytime any of his big abilities hit me, I was instantly dead. And I didn't... this ability right there was just bullshit. I don't think I got hit by that, but I had lots of problems with that ability. It's not super well telegraphed, and this is the first time I'm ever seeing it. So I'm like, I don't know what he's doing, so I'm like, roll away. How did that hit me? Like, I'm here. The actual, like, thing that fell is here, and the shockwave is, like, here, but I'm over here. I don't know. But anyways, it one-shots you. Is the shock consumed on next hit? Yeah, you can use... one of your abilities consumes a shock to do more damage, yeah. Anyways, I spend a lot of time on this boss. Let's get to the actual kill. I die a lot to this boss. Because he just keeps one-shotting me. Okay, here we go. This is the kill.
Ogum deserves one last execution.
But yeah, you can kind of see here that I start figuring out how the boss works. I understand that behind him is safe when he does his big swing, because you'll see I roll behind him, and then I don't have to worry about his second swing because I'm behind him.
Silence.
But if you're not behind him, you still get hit. So here you can kind of see some of my frustrations with the bell, right? The boss does move the bell around, but one of the big frustrations that I'm having with the bell is just the fact that I can't target it, and I don't figure out how to target it until Act 2. So I start to figure out his, like, because he has cues for when he does any of his abilities, right? His model does different things for every single different ability. You can tell what he's gonna do. I got real close to dying there just because I couldn't get enough distance away. But here I'm kind of getting overwhelmed, so I'm like trying to get power charges so that I can use the big thing. I literally just got lucky on that attack that I didn't get hit by it. I didn't see him doing it at all. The anvil that came down. Now he's got a stun on him, so I just consumed the stun and did a bunch of damage. I consumed the stun again, boss is dead. Pretty much just kind of got lucky. That boss was really, really hard. Okay, I think this is the point where I start getting frustrated. All right, it's this zone. So this is the first zone where I am just like genuinely getting frustrated at ranged rare mobs. This zone was lagging on the PS5 because you can see, if you look at the way the reflections and such are in this area, you can see that it's simply a much higher quality zone, right? They've done more lighting. The zone just seems very, very well made artistically, but it's lagging super hard on the PS5. I don't exactly know what's going on, but this zone, it was like 20 FPS loss at least. But here's where I start running into issues. You see how there's a group of ranged mobs and then a group of fast melee mobs, right? One of the big problems I run into with melee in general is that when there is a powerful ranged mob with a bunch of like fast melee mobs in front of it, it's really hard to do anything as a melee character. Oh, I think I also got a new skill. Hold on, let's back up a little bit because I think I got a new skill, right?
All the time.
Frozen.
All right, so this is the new skill that I got. There's also some issues where I'm learning this skill as well. What this skill is, this is called Tempest Flurry, and for the most part, this is the skill that I use for the rest of the game, yeah? Once I figure out this skill, it's definitely much better than most of the rest of them. The reason being is that this skill allows you to move through enemies, and it has kind of like a combo attack that it can do. So you'll notice when I'm in this next zone here that I'm using a new skill sometimes. Let's get back to where I was. So you see how I'm kind of using this like combo attack that allows me to hit things and kind of like move through them and such? I'm still figuring it out here, because essentially anytime you get a new skill, you have to relearn how to play the character. Yeah, every new skill acts completely differently. So one big problem with melee and a skill that moves you inside of enemies is if the enemies explode on death, or if you get yourself into a situation where, you know, you're like full surrounding yourself by moving through the enemies, it can kind of just cause you to die, so it's kind of frustrating. But you can see how much damage the enemies do here, right? Like, this is just a random group of 3 or 4 melee mobs. So then, when you have, like, a group of ranged mobs, so right here, there was nothing I could do there. You see where I get body blocked? So watch right here, I get body blocked by these mobs. I need to be able to roll, and I can't, so I just die. There's nothing I could do there, yeah? And then the frustration happens, because you can see the zone hasn't reset. Like, I still have my map up in the top right, but the mobs respawn, so watch. As soon as you walk in, the mobs are there. And you have to end up re-clearing. Because they're there all of a sudden again. Anyways, let's move towards, let's move further in here. Okay, so I think this is a rare mob, right? So this is a ranged rare mob. So watch him attack me one time. So watch my health bar. Right here. So watch him attack me one time. Right here, one attack. That's how much damage one attack from this guy did, okay? I got hit by him once, and then some other, I think it's this ranged mob here, hits me afterwards, right? So my health bar goes from here to here in one attack, right? One attack, and then the next attack from the little guy hits me there. So immediately I run away. Now watch what happens. You see these little melee mobs here? Watch what the melee mobs do. They force me to back up, right? And I'm getting pelted by those ranged mobs. You see how they're attacking me all the way from back there? So you just get into this circumstance where it's like, there just genuinely really isn't much that you can do, right? When you get this specific combination on any kind of rare mob that either does damage or is resistant to your damage, or like any kind of difficult rare mob in this situation, you're just kind of screwed, and there's not a ton that you can do. Not getting stunned too, yeah, so you kind of just get screwed, right? So the zone resets, and that mob isn't there anymore. So I just run past. So I no longer fight that mob because he just doesn't exist, right? Like that mob just didn't spawn this time. So I got to play. At this point, you can see where I'm going, right? You see how I'm speccing into stun threshold here? I'm literally taking nodes that are literally just stun threshold here because I'm getting frustrated with it, right? I was like going out, I took some like damage. Note, there is no life. There's no life nodes. There's 0. There's not a single life node in this whole area. There's no real defensive nodes that exist. It's just like utility defensive nodes. So I'm trying to take like stun threshold at this point because I don't know what to do. I'm just getting stunned constantly. But yeah, you see what ends up happening here a lot? So these mobs over here I think are these are chaos damage mobs, right? Because they've got the little chaos orbs around them. They hit hard. But right there, I was trying to roll. I was trying to get away, but I couldn't. I was getting stun locked. All right. So let's move through this zone. You've seen enough of me struggling in this zone. I do eventually make it through the zone. And then this is the last zone of Act 1. This zone is super cool. I really, really enjoy the aesthetic of this zone for a bunch of reasons. Like, it looks really, really nice. But I struggle here a lot. Because there's one type of mob that just causes me infinite issues. It's those guys. So the ranged mobs, they just do so much damage, and it's really, really hard to see them. It's hard to avoid the damage that they do because they're just like laser beams that just sweep across the zone, right? So anyways, I struggle in here for a super long time. I die a whole bunch. I fight some random rares. Normal stuff. You really are a monk. Yep. All right, so here's a little mini boss. At first, I don't even realize that this is gonna be a mini boss. I'm just like, what did I find? If I remember correctly, this boss dies really fast. The bosses in general, I had very, very little issues with. They all felt pretty fair most of the time. And the fights themselves, all the abilities are well telegraphed. The boss fights feel really good. It's just the random rare mobs and random packs of mobs that are frustrating. The bosses feel really enjoyable. PoE 2 is a decent amount slower, yeah. But it's not absurdly slow. Okay. Let's go into this next zone here. Okay, so this is the first time in PoE in general that I saw them do this kind of like multi-layered thing, and it actually looks really nice. I really, really enjoy just the aesthetic of this. Keep in mind, it's console and it's kind of lagging a little bit, but this whole like multi-layered zone where you're kind of walking through and they're like building up what's happening in the background and like you moving towards the boss, you can kind of see. They don't do that a lot in PoE 1, and they do it a lot in PoE 2, and it's really nice. It just sets the atmosphere super well. PoE 2 feels like no other ARPG I've played. It feels nothing even close. Like, the actual way that the game plays and feels is not similar to anything I've played yet. Alright, let's move forward a little bit more. I don't know why. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't know why I'm going back there. It's because it's the end of the clip. Alright, so here I'm trying to figure out flasks and like if I can roll them and stuff like that. And I'm like replacing my flasks so that I have more of them so I can heal for longer and such. Okay.
Staggering Pop can be used means that
So there were two monk paths. There was an ice-based monk and a lightning-based monk, and I wanted to play the lightning-based one. I didn't want to play the ice-based one, so that's what you're gonna see here. They just seemed like the cooler abilities, so I don't know. All right, so here's more of that that like multi-layered thing. It just looks really nice. All right, let's skip forward a little bit. Okay, here's a rare. Let's watch the rare fight. So at this point, I'm starting to understand like how I have to play as melee. Like I'm barely starting to get it. But this ability is my favorite ability so far. This like multi-hit combo ability where you kind of just like do a whole bunch of attacks and then you do like a final slam. It's definitely my favorite ability so far, but I mean, you still just die to such random stuff sometimes. Here I didn't realize that I was standing in like 3 puddles, and I think I like attacked with something and I couldn't roll back out. So yeah, let's skip forward. I struggle a lot in this zone. It's just very hard to fight things. Oh, I think this was when they were doing food. For all those combos actually activating the bell? Yeah, anytime you hit the bell, it activates with any ability. Okay, so let's look more at the multi-layering. Were you able to craft gear? I did a little bit of crafting. It was okay. Very underpowered compared to stuff later.
What are they doing?
All right, so here is, I think this is Act 1 boss. Note that this boss bugs. It bugs a pretty decent amount. I don't realize it a lot of the time that it bugs. It's one specific thing that happens where it gets like stuck in a phase. I struggle with this boss a decent amount simply because I can't survive for long enough, but eventually I do get it.
This interloper has the power we need. Kill him, and you shall have everything I promised.
No noose this time. I'll remove your head myself.
We'll see about that.
Great Wolf, take you! For the first ones, kneel before me.
I didn't see anything having to do with Zana.
Easy prey.
So I think this is where he gets bugged. Do you see how his health is stuck at 50%? And like I'm hitting him a bunch and nothing is happening? He's supposed to do a phase here, but for some reason he just doesn't do it sometimes. I don't know why. I lost a lot of attempts because he literally just doesn't take damage here. Like I'm sitting here and I'm hitting him over and over and over and over and over again, and he's supposed to phase, but then he just doesn't.
How dare you abandon me after all I've given you?
Here it looks like he finally does it. so here, the problem with the little, like, thing where he goes through and attacks, it's not exactly on a timer, but it's a lot harder to dodge than it seems. You have very, very little time to be able to dodge once he's running through, and you just kind of get overwhelmed here. This is the part that I struggle on for most of it. A lot of these fights, he just bugs, so we're gonna move forward so I see if I can show you the bug. Yeah, so here's once where it happens. So literally starting at 30-20, I'm like fighting him, and it goes for like minutes straight, and he just never stops attacking me. He's just sitting there with half health, and I can't do anything. So let's go ahead and get to the one where I kill him. I had to fight him a bunch because I struggled on this boss a lot as well. All right, so I think this is the kill. So he kind of has like 3 phases. His first phase is just the humanoid phase, where he does a bunch of combo attacks and things like that. He can turn into a wolf, which is kind of like phase 2. It's kind of like phase 1.5 realistically. It seems like if you stun him when he's in the middle of trying to transform is when the bug happens. Yeah, this is like phase 1.5, right? He can freeze you, and then he does like combo attacks and stuff like that. Okay, so he phases correctly here.
I think not. Thanks. More from you. Since you are too
So at this point, I've realized that when they're RPing here, I just kind of have to run away, and there's no point in engaging him.
How dare you abandon me after all I've given you? Torn to shreds.
This is kind of phase 2 where he's doing most of his ice abilities. He's transformed into like the hybrid wolf. And this is the last phase where he goes into this mist form here. So the big thing here is just getting these mobs down as quickly as you can. I started to kind of realize that it didn't really matter too much if I got hit by him. Just kind of get the mobs down, attempt to dodge roll whenever he comes through, and just get through this as quickly as you can, because the thing that's limiting you is your flasks, your health flasks here. So I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as I can, because then it goes back into phase 2. And essentially, like, my goal right now is I have a couple different abilities, right? I have my main ability, which is that multi-attack. I do have that gap closer equipped still that does more damage whenever you consume a shock. So you'll see and hear sometimes. You'll see me doing the normal attacks. You'll see sometimes that I apply a shock, and then when that shock is on there, it gets consumed and you'll hear like a big sound. That one right there. Okay, so that's Act 1. So we're gonna skip a whole bunch of stuff here. We're gonna get into Act 2. So here's where things start to kind of get significantly worse. Act 2 is way less done than Act 1. So this is way less polished, way less everything. One of the biggest issues I have here is that there are not as many checkpoints. In Act 1, there's tons of checkpoints. If you die, you just go back to the checkpoint. In Act 2, there's almost no checkpoints. So if you go through an entire zone, clear all the way through it, and then die, you have to re-clear the entire zone. Act 2 looks very nice, though. I really like the like reddish pink sand. Act 2 does look very nice. Let's move forward to the bosses. There's one section in Act 2 where I literally just die over and over and over and over and over and over again, and there's almost nothing I feel like I can do about it. Let's get to the bosses. Okay, here's that boss that they showed in the one video where everybody struggled with. You guys remember this one? So first I'm trying to pull him out of there because I know how dangerous this area is. But if you try to pull him out, he just runs back. Like, he won't actually leave this area. So I just decide that I have to fight him. So the harpoon guys that are up top, I don't even think that you can get up there. Well, from what I can see, like, that area isn't on the map. So at this point, I don't know that you can do it because they jump down afterwards. So after you kill them, all those enemies jump down. What I don't realize here is that the boss is actually not over at this point.
I should return.
Because I just get two-shot by these guys and I die. And I think I have to fight the boss again. It was so frustrating when it happened. Because, like, I go through all of that, I fight the boss, and then I come back here, and then they just, like, attack me twice, and then I die, and I'm just like, oh, cool. Alright, so moving on. Okay, this is where we get to that big floating island thing, the caravan, which is kind of cool. Alright, this zone. This is the zone where I realized the whole issue with the waypoint system. So we're gonna kind of move through here a little bit quickly, but you can see how this is just like this big, long, sprawling zone, right? Where you have to go through, and you have to clear all these enemies. It's just kind of like long and straight with these big, open areas, right? Okay, I get all the way through the zone up to this point, right? And then I get here. Like, huh? He just one-shots me. So, like, I'm doing an attack, I combo him, I finish the combo, and before I'm out of the finished combo animation, he takes me from like 85-ish% health to dead instantly. Like, look at that. I'm just like, okay. And then this is when I realized that this is the point when I like realize how few checkpoints are in the zone. I'm back at the start. Look at that. What lightning res did you have at this point? As much as I could possibly get. I tried to get as much resistance, as much defensive mods. I spent all of the currency that I found. I bought all of the items that I possibly could. I farmed a little bit extra. I had as much as I could of everything that I could get. But all of those mobs respawned. So I spent all that time clearing through this entire zone and all of them respawned. But yeah, like you can see in my inventory, I've spent most of my currency, right? Like I have some alterations that are left there that I'm like trying to use on stuff. But like, look at what I get when I use like the alteration here, I think. Yeah, so okay, so look at my weapon. I'm trying to figure out what Storm Surge does. Like, look at the weapon that I'm using, okay? I'm trying to like do it, and I get +2 to level of melee skills. Hog. That's my weapon. I'm in Act 2. I've been trying my hardest to find as good of weapons as I can. That's my weapon. I've been spending all of my currency on weapons. Every single thing, trying to get better weapons, trying to get better gear, trying to get better everything. That's my weapon right now. Got 10 crit chance though. It's pretty poggers, dude. So yeah, pretty bad. My gear was very bad. I got really unlucky with gear. When I went and talked to I talked to Arrow. I think Arrow was playing with what is his name? Oh, I don't remember his name. Arrow was playing with somebody. The other guy who makes heist guides, the guy who does the heist special implicit contract stuff, that guy. Asmodeus, I think. Arrow was playing with Asmodeus. They had much better gear than I did. And then Subtractum was playing with somebody, but I don't remember who Subtractum was playing with. Subtractum was sitting near me. Subtractum had fucking great gear. I think they were both playing Rangers, though. I had garbage gear, dude. It was awful. So anyways, move through this zone. I think I die again. Oh no, I do make it through here. Okay, so yeah, I finally make it through the zone. At long last.
They died clawing for escape. This place is a tomb.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I think I get a better weapon here, right? I get like a weapon with attack speed on it or something. Yeah, I sold my other weapon. And I buy like a weapon that I found at the vendor with attack speed or something, yeah? No, not that. Yeah, so I find this weapon that has attack speed on it. And I think I buy this one. And that ends up being a little bit better. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Alright, this boss. This boss is a little weird. It's one of the first bosses where I was kind of confused as to what they were doing. So I'm kind of just like attacking here and I'm like, wow, this boss sucks, dude. I'm just beating him up. And then they start doing this fire circle thing, and I'm like, okay, it's pretty easy to deal with. I'm standing on fire stuff, I gotta be careful here. And then they do this. Where is it? And I am not ready for what this ability is, okay? So this enemy is an engineer, right? They're using like traps, they're using mines, and they're using like guns and stuff, yeah? And they don't hit very hard. You see how it's like throwing like mines down? Like they threw a mine down here, and then it like detonates afterwards, and they have like traps and stuff that they throw. all of a sudden, it turns into a berserker that just swings at you and runs at you out of nowhere. It just turns into a just straight berserker that just goes like this and just swings her sword at you and runs at you. And if you get hit one time by that ability, you die. There's an audio cue that you can hear from the prisoner that's in a that's over here. There's an audio cue that you hear from her that lets you know that it's happening. The hit was just from me getting hit. You see where he says she's coming? So at this point I'm confused. Because I don't understand what's happening, right? But you see what I mean, right? She just attacked me one time and I just die. But if you listen, this person says she's coming, and then she does this just thing where she just starts like swinging her sword and it one-shots you. I was so confused here. Once I figured that out, this boss is easy. Like, this boss is a joke, right? But I was just so confused. I'm like, why am I getting melee one-tapped by this random boss that throws traps? Right, like... So I hear that she's coming, right? And I'm like, okay, she's doing the melee thing. But you see what I mean, right? And I'm just like, huh? Why am I getting one shot by melee? Like, what's going on? Because she just kept doing it. And I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Is there like a... What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to like, I'm going through the ideas in my head on how I can figure this boss out and what I should be doing, right? Eventually I figure it out and the boss is a joke. Here's where I'm like putting the bell down. Okay, so I hear the voice line and I'm like, okay, just fucking run. And then she blows herself up. And then from here, this boss is easy. I think I might die one more time or something like that. But you can see, this is why I'm confused, okay? Watch when she melees here and how much damage she does, okay? So she'll stand up and she's just gonna melee me, right? Just once. So she just swings at me, hits me, 10th of my health. This is why I was confused the entire time, is because this boss is meleeing me sometimes and dealing 10% of my health, and then other times was meleeing me and literally one-shotting me. So I was just like, what am I supposed to be doing here, you know? So what I realized here is that what she's done is she's actually just attached a mine to her weapon, is what it is. Because look, you see how there's something attached to her weapon? She's attached a mine to her weapon, and she's just swinging her weapon around. It's very hard to see this at first, but then you realize what it is, because when she's standing still, you watch it explode on her, right? But when you're like, when she's got like shock on her and ignite and all that other stuff, it's super hard to see what's happening. But then you eventually realize what's going on. But yeah, then you can see it's like, as soon as I realize what's happening, the fight is super easy. Like, it's very, very easy. I was so confused for so long on this fight, and then I get a rare sword, of all things. I got so much good gear for everything that wasn't what I was playing. It made me so sad, dude. Because, like, look at this. Like, it's got a bunch of added lightning damage. It's got accuracy, which is nice. Critical strike damage bonus. I crit a decent amount. Like, I find gear for everything except for me. All right, let's move forward again. I think I get lost here and I don't know where to go. Oh yeah, this is the spider zone. This zone was really fun. But it was pretty dangerous. There's lots of like weird, dangerous mobs here.
I must ascend into darkness.
Yeah, so I mean, you can kind of get an idea of what my gear is looking like, right? Like I had a piece of gear with life and it had lightning resist on it. Is there a way to enchant a mod or something or gamble for a weapon you need? You can gamble, but it's very expensive. You don't have enough to be able to do it. Yeah, see, that was my problem, Surreal, is that gold is supposed to solve that, but realistically it didn't solve it for me. Because like whenever I would buy stuff from vendors or do anything, I never actually ended up getting anything. I might have just gotten extremely unlucky. This zone had problems with the effects, as you can see, where it like flickers and stuff. But I enjoyed this zone in general. Beyond the weird flickering stuff, you can't really do anything about weird graphical bugs. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's an alpha, right? Let's move to the next boss.
Wave.
Works.
Oh, is there ads? I don't know. I stopped about when ads do what. Is there ads rolling? Well, if there's ads rolling or something, just ask me afterwards when ads aren't rolling. I always try to answer stuff whenever I can. Okay, let's move forward to the boss. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the worst little area in the entire game. This was my I kind of want to quit moment. This was where if I was at home, I might have closed the game, okay?
Let us see
This moment right here.
what Odin have in store for me.
Here is the culmination of all of the problems that Melee has. All right? This area right here. So you see these enemies, right? Watch. Get used to that. It happens a lot. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I just ran in there too fast, right? I guess I'll just try again, see what happens, see if I can attack. Okay, they're doing a lot of damage. Oh, never mind, I'm dead. All right, let's try again. Okay, let's try kiting them out a little bit, right? Maybe that'll help. Surely that'll help. Okay, so we're doing a little bit better. Still trying to go through. It's doing a little bit better. Okay, good. Still dead from one blue mob. Okay, so we'll try again. Try pulling him out again, because pulling him out worked a little bit better. Try backing up even further now. Try to give myself even more distance. Okay, we're trying to kite him around this little square. It doesn't matter, still dead. This time we're kiting them even further, still dead. Now I'm trying to like force them around the wall, right? Like I'm trying to force them around the wall as best I can. And then I think this time I just get lucky, right? Like my first couple attacks there, just managed to kill all of them with the bell, right? I just got lucky. That was it. It's the only way to get more life through gear crafts. As far as I know, there was no way to craft anything on gear. I looked around and I wasn't able to do it. So then, this whole area is just a continuation of that, right? So that took me, what, like 8 tries to kill that one pack, yeah?
Advance with me. There are 2 more gates we must open.
Let's see. Okay. Why isn't the structure invisible in the characters behind it? I'm not sure. Great. So yeah, I deal with that a whole bunch, right? But then here we go again, okay? So here we go again. This is the same situation, but it happens again later in the zone. So I kill those mobs. I'm like, okay, all right, we're good, we're good. And then I walk up to this gate and look at what happens here. It's the same situation again. There's just a giant pack of mobs that just one-shot me. So now I'm like, uh-oh. The zone reset. I didn't get a waypoint.
Hold them back while I open the gate.
Guess where I'm at? But I'm like, oh no, dude. Oh no, man, I have to clear this entire zone in one go. I'm like, fuck. It's Jover, right? Like at this point, I'm just like, I don't even want to play the game right now. Like I just want to log out, dude. I don't want to play. What is this? So I'm here. I'm like, can I do something else? Can I go to some other zone? Can I go back to town and fix my gear? I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I have no idea what to do. I'm trying to see like, can I swap things out? And then I get this pair of gloves. This is the best item I found the entire time I played. So I'm like looking, seeing what I can get, and I see these. I'm like, oh shit. 5 to 8 physical damage? Pog, dude. And I'm like, all right. Let's hit it with an augmentation. Boom, 17 lightning resist. It's over, dude. I'm the strongest character in the entire universe. Look at my previous gloves. Look at my previous gloves. They had 8 energy shield on them. Eight energy shield were my previous gloves. That's all I had. I just hadn't gotten anything better. And then there was that helmet I couldn't use. I was like, cool, I just can't use that helmet that has 61 life on it. It's like, okay, great. Anyways. When we come back here, I'm like, okay, I do more damage now, right? Surely this will go fine. Try again. Like, all right, we actually have to like play the video game. And I kind of just got lucky there. Like I just managed to one-shot them. Like if you watch, they all kind of funnel in and I just get one good attack, right? I just managed to AoE all of them down once. Lost a ton of weight, time to change your shirt. I wear like big loose shirts at home just because it's comfortable and it's hot in Florida. It's hot even in my house, so like loose clothing just feels nicer. The answer to losing weight is copious amounts of exercise. That's all that ever works for me. All right, so anyways, we'll go through this zone, and then we get up to here again. And here's the pack, and I'm like, all right. I managed to kill him this time. The gloves are doing work. And then I think I finished the zone, right? Like I think the zone is over and there's no more really bad packs. I think. Okay, here's one more pack. You can gamble, you can buy something from a vendor, you can get something to drop, but the gambling prices are super expensive and I didn't know how much gold I should realistically spend on that because like buying gold or buying items from the vendor is like 700 to 1,000 gold and I have like 4,000 or 5,000 right now, I think. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know if I should. Yeah, I have like 5,000 at the moment. But I think we make it through to this boss. As far as I was aware, there was no enchants and no bench. I don't remember a lot about this boss. I think I 1 or 2 shot him. I actually don't know Thanatos. I'm not exactly sure how I'm getting the power charges. One of the abilities gives them to you when you hit a unique mob. I don't exactly know how it works, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Because from what I remember, there's like a chance for you to get max power charges instead of just 1. But I couldn't figure it out with the time that I had. I felt like I was pressured to just keep going. if that makes sense. Like, I kind of spent some time looking at things and figuring stuff out, but at a certain point I was just like, I kind of just have to keep going. Here's a point where I kind of got a little frustrated. I'm out of mana flasks, right? It might be the last hit of the combo skill, yeah. But here I'm out of mana flasks and I can't really do anything. I have like a basic attack that I can do, or I can just wait for my normal hit, right? And if I remember correctly, I don't have my basic attack bound anymore. Yeah. So you can see here that I'm trying to like figure out a place to bind the basic attack to. Oh, here's a good point. You see how there's 2 bars here? Like, you see how I have a whole entire second bar? You can press one button and shift to this bar at any time. I also think I realized that my aura hasn't been on this entire time. Anyways, I eventually look for like the just default attack button. Eventually I figure it out here. Yeah, and then I think I kill the boss afterwards, right? Yeah, so then I killed the boss. Nothing super impactful happened there. We're getting close to the end of how far I got. Alright, so we're going to the next zone. I got almost all the way to the end of what was available. There was like 2 or 3 more bosses available. I unfortunately didn't get to see the big, cool, like middle of Act 2 boss. But I got to see most of it. You can pause the game. Yeah, you're able to pause the game. This boss, I didn't really understand what was going on because I kind of just killed her. Like, she was spawning a whole bunch of stuff and I kind of just ignored her. Just attacked. And she just kind of died. I don't really know what she does.
I won't soon.
So... keep going. Why did a relic drop there? I don't know why a relic dropped there. Oh, I guess it's just part of the quest. Okay, I think this is the last boss that I fight. I think I get a new skill here. Called Charge Staff. Consumes all power charges to infuse your quarterstaff with electricity for a duration. Oh yeah, this is like you can use up your power charges to give yourself a buff. I don't think I use it super often. Alright, so here's another little boss. I didn't super understand what this boss was. It kind of just did nothing and died. Like, I didn't really understand what was going on. I just auto-attacked it until it died, and it died really fast. I was just like... huh. Weird. I guess that was supposed to be a boss, right? I don't know. So yeah, I was very confused with that boss. And then... we move through here. There's another boss in this zone. I think we're heading towards it. A bunch of just clearing a bunch of zones. Not really anything super entertaining. Okay, here we go. This boss was one of the new ones that they showed off. And the weird thing about this boss is he actually looks really dangerous. And he looks really cool. But he has like the lowest stun threshold I've seen out of any of the bosses we've fought so far. So just watch what happens when I fight this boss. Like, he can't do shit. Like, he just... Like, I just fucking destroyed that guy, right? Like, he got absolutely annihilated. I don't know what was up with that boss. That boss was a complete outlier of all of the other bosses. Oh shit, whoops. That boss was a complete outlier of all the other bosses that I fought. He just stood still and got wrecked. And then here, so this is something interesting. Okay, here's a new mechanic. Do you guys see that war spear that dropped? You see how it says tier 2? So this is GGG's answer for gear dropping on the ground being good. And I actually think it is a relatively interesting answer. So I had to ask what this was. So I went to Octavian and I said, hey, Octavian, I found this item that says tier 2. Can you kind of explain to me what that means? And the way he explained it is that items will be able to drop on the ground and some of them will have higher tiers. The higher the tier of the weapon or item that it is, it makes it so that the attributes and the modifiers that are on the weapon are guaranteed to be of a certain tier. So if you get like a tier 2 weapon, that means that there can't be any of the lowest tier modifiers on it when you identify it. However, when you do identify it, it turns back into a normal item. It no longer has the tier 2 on it. So if you're just going around and clearing stuff and then you randomly drop, like, I don't know how high the tiers get, say the highest tier of stat is 5, right? And you find a tier 5 item, supposedly all of the modifiers on that item will be guaranteed to at least be tier 5, whatever the highest of that tier is, right? When you identify it. So that's pretty interesting. It's the only one of these that I saw throughout the entire thing as far as I know. I don't know how the tiers work. I didn't ask about that because this was the only one of them that I found, right?
I carry few possessions, and I don't have room for that.
Also, did you guys notice that you can automatically identify something just by clicking it? I think this is around the point where they're telling us that we need to start like getting our stuff recorded. I actually might be asking, I might be talking to Octavian right now. Like in the clip right there, I might have pulled him over and was asking about it.
I don't have room for that.
All right, so yeah, so I pick up the item and it says unidentified tier 2. And then you identify it and it has higher tier modifiers on it. So it's got like accuracy and it's got increased elemental damage with attack skills, right? But then you notice the tier goes away, yeah? So there's no more tier here whatsoever. So now if you craft on it, it just has all of the normal, like you can roll anything on it now. So crafting is like uninterrupted, I guess you could say. But that's pretty much it. I don't think I did anything else. I don't want to spoil any story or anything here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for PoE 2. Overall, like my feelings on it is that I really, really genuinely want to play it. I know a lot of people have kind of been comparing it to Dark Souls types games, and I've honestly done a lot of the same as well. And to be honest with you, after playing PoE 2, I really don't think it feels like a Souls game. Like, there's some aspects on the boss fights where it sort of feels a little Souls-like, but it doesn't actually feel like a Souls game. There we can collect un-ID'd rares with higher tiers and sell them to gambling addicts. Maybe. I don't know that you'll want to, though. It definitely is rough, but you have to remember this is very early alpha. They have like most of Act 1 done and less than half of Act 2, right? The passive tree is not even close to done. The skills are not even close to done. The classes aren't done. And not like almost nothing is actually finished. So this is super early alpha. You gotta understand that. And there's tons of stuff that still needs to be fixed, of course, but it really genuinely does feel very good, right? People are used to open beta meaning finished game. Yeah, and it's definitely not finished. Like, you can tell the difference between like Act 1 and Act 2 is huge. Like, just the amount of everything, right? Like, just how finished it feels. Let's go back to playing Still Alive. So yeah, like, I genuinely am a lot more excited now about PoE 2 than I was before, because the difference between playing the game and seeing what the game looks like, it doesn't feel like any other ARPG that I've played so far. It doesn't feel like Diablo 1, 2, 3, or 4. It doesn't feel like PoE 1. It doesn't feel like what was the name of that one game? The one that I did like a sponsored stream for? I don't remember. It doesn't feel like Last Epoch. It doesn't feel like any of those. It really genuinely doesn't. It feels very unique. It is kind of a mix between... The reason that I like PoE 1 is that PoE 1 has this kind of snappiness to it, I guess you could say. It has this kind of snappiness to it where it feels like your character responds to what you do, right? And that's, say, on one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, you have Dark Souls type game, like Souls types games, where it really does feel like you're kind of like fighting underwater, right? Like, once you put gravity into motion and you do like some kind of big attack, it's really hard to get yourself out of that attack. In PoE 2, you can start up a big windup, but if in the middle of that windup of an attack you feel like you want to stop doing it, you can end it and you can exit whenever you want, right? Like, you can stop the attack by rolling. And just that little tiny difference feels pretty decent. The other big thing is that the bosses don't just feel like they... In Souls-like games, a lot of the difficulty just comes from learning the timings on the bosses and learning how they do their attacks, and if they like stagger their attacks or slow their attacks. Like, a lot of bosses in something like Elden Ring will do an attack where they'll like wind up and it feels like they're about to attack, but they'll kind of troll you a little bit and either go a little bit earlier or a little bit faster. And most of the difficulty of the game is just figuring those things out and learning how to deal with it, right? In PoE 2, it didn't feel like that. It felt like the bosses just have a wide variety of different attacks, and the difficulty is more so understanding how to deal with the attack and not having to deal with the timing of the attack, if that makes sense, which I liked a lot more. The whole timing aspect of Souls type games really doesn't, it doesn't feel good to me. But PoE 2, it didn't really feel like I had to time anything. It's just like, the boss uses this attack and I have to do this to deal with it. The boss uses this attack, I have to do this to deal with it, right? It's learning like that. If that will change as it goes later into the game, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I do feel like the weakest part of PoE 2 right now is just the the rare packs and like blue packs. Like, I feel like that's the weakest point. Because right now, as you could see, like boys, where is it? Where is this section? It has to be in the next one. Yeah, this part of the game, this legitimately, I was at an event in LA given 6 to 8 hours ish to play PoE 2 in a giant room that had like a bajillion couches and consoles, and they had food there for us. I was considering closing the game at this point, right? like I was just like, what do I do, man? Like, I was considering just being like, all right, well, I guess I'm done. Like, I guess I can't go any further. I don't know what I've done wrong, but I guess I can't go any further, right? It was legitimately that bad at this little section of the game. It was really rough. But this was the weakest point, and I do feel like I got gear screwed quite a bit. Like, I feel like there was a lot of just... I ended up not getting good gear. I really, really ended up just not getting good gear, right? Do you talk to other content creators about this? Do they share your opinion? I talked to Havoc and Noogie about that little section of the game, and they agreed that Melee had, like, they had basically the same opinion that I did on how Melee felt. There is just this difficulty of creating space. And when we were talking, we kind of talked about, like, if there was a war cry that knocked enemies back and maybe gave them a short stun, that I think that was Noogie's idea. My idea was something like, say if the monk could slam the ground with their staff and it made like a little wall, right? And say that wall could very easily block projectiles, but Melee could destroy it very quickly, right? Something like that. Having access to that early in the game would make things so much better. Okay, most of them were playing in duos and most won't get stuck there. The vast majority of people were playing in duos. I did not want to play in a duo, and I think that Noogie and Havoc were playing double Melee. I think they were playing like Marauder or whatever it is and Monk. I think Noogie was playing Monk and Havoc was playing Marauder or something like that, or the other way around. I don't remember. But yeah, like, I wanted to play like most of the lightning skills, and it seems like you kind of have to choose. It seems like if you choose certain skills wrong, it doesn't seem like you can actually progress as easily. That backflip ice slam, yeah, if I had something like that, it might have been a little bit easier, but it felt super punishing to play this particular setup, the lightning based setup. Because you kind of had to go one way or the other. You could go either like all of the lightning type abilities because they all synergized with each other, or you could go all the cold abilities because they all synergized with each other, right? Because like with my setup, I did lots of single target damage, and I had lots of like amounts of damage that comboed with each other because I would shock something, and then I could consume the shock. But either way, I think that having a few more utility type skills would go a very, very, very long way. Because I got really, really frustrated with it sometimes. But yeah, I mean, just having something where you could like take the staff and just sweep around you and knock people back a little bit. Just anything that would allow you to create distance would help. Because when you are melee and you do the dodge roll backwards, in the time that you're doing that dodge roll, the melee mobs just follow you. There's no time. So the melee mobs follow you, and maybe you get like a split second to start an attack, but if there's ranged mobs back here, you're just gonna die anyways. That was my main frustration with the entire thing. Almost everything else was good. Almost everything else was good. I pretty much ignored any problems that seemed like, yeah, it's beta. Like there were issues with some bugs with bosses, and there were issues with like some of the graphical issues and things like that. But definitely the situation with melee when it comes to fighting packs was my biggest critique of the entire thing. Bosses in general, I kind of get where GGG's coming from, in that all of the boss fights besides that last one, that last one was just sad. He was really cool, but I just kind of beat his ass. All of the boss fights felt very enjoyable, right? I still stand by what I had said before, where I don't know that doing the campaign over and over and over and over and over again is going to be fun. I think that the campaign is definitely a lot more fun than the PoE 1 campaign, but that is to be expected in my opinion. I do have this feeling that making a new character for like the 10th time and going through the campaign like the 10th time, I think I'm still going to be kind of frustrated with it, if that makes sense. I don't think that what they've done has solved that issue for me. I think it's kind of like kicking the can down the road a little bit, which is fine. But the analogy that I've used so many times is like, I could have a book that I read, and it is my favorite book of all time, right? But if I read that book all the way through to the end, and then immediately afterwards, like say I take one day and then immediately afterwards I have to read the entire book again, I'm probably going to enjoy it a little bit less, even if it's my favorite book. And then if 2 or 3 days later I have to read the book again, I'm gonna be like, I really don't want to do this. You know, I just really don't want to do this. Like, yeah, it's a good book, but second, third, fourth time in the course of like a month, you kind of miss me with that, right? Which it'll be a problem that we'll have to see. I don't know.
Happy 45 BBK I love.
45. You really been subbed for 45 months? Jesus, thank you for the 45 months of subs, honey. Appreciate you. But yeah, so it's like that's my only real concern at this point, is that I don't think it fixed the campaign thing. I think the wells are kind of lame. I don't like the wells, and Melee's interaction with packs seems a little bit frustrating, at least that early in the game. Everything else is a super huge positive. But I think that's pretty much all I've got. I kind of just wanted to do a short stream today. What do we stream for, like 2.5 hours? And they need checkpoints in Act 2. The checkpoints in Act 1 were mostly fine. Checkpoints missing in Act 2 was miserable. Oh, the single support gym limit thing. I didn't like that either. I'm curious to see how that goes. But I didn't like that either, for sure. For sure, I didn't like that either. Because it was very frustrating early in the game where I had like 2 abilities that I wanted to use, and the only support gem I had access to was added lightning damage, and I can only put it on one of them. And I was just like, why? Why can I not have it on both? But yeah, other than that, if you missed the beginning of the stream, I know it's been forever since I've streamed, so I know there's never going to be a lot of people here at this moment. Well, we probably have like a total of 100 maybe at most. Let me check. I actually haven't looked. Yeah, like 100 people across both streams. If you are interested in any of the content that I'm going to be doing going forward, you'll notice there's a command in the Twitch chat now that is !notes. So from now on, anything that I do, it doesn't matter what it is, when it comes to PoE content, anything that I do is now going to be in this one centralized location. I will have my written guides will be here, my build guides will be here, anything having to do with me and anything else is going to be here, and like this basic info if you want to, like, if you're another content creator and you want to collab with me, if you're someone that wants to work for me, if you have a problem with me and you want to like discuss something that I've done on stream that you don't like or something like that. And the way that I'm going to do it from now on is, if you've seen my videos in the past where I have, you know, like, where is this? Like in this video, right? Where I have these notes here on the side, right? Close this, 1440p. So if you have this video here where you see these notes that are on the side, yeah, where I just kind of go through them on here. Now these notes are just going to be available right here. So the video notes will be available. The link to the video will be right here. You can click to watch it on YouTube if you want to watch it on YouTube. I don't know why YouTube is blocked, but either way, you can watch it right through here. Okay, and that's it. Everything's gonna be all sourced here from now on. Appreciate you, boys. That is probably it for me though for today. I'll be back tomorrow because the reveal is tomorrow, right? I'll be back for the reveal. We will go over all of the spoilers that have come out and the teasers and stuff like that. We'll go all through that before the reveal tomorrow. I'll probably be live about an hour, maybe an hour and a half before the reveal at most. We'll watch the reveal. We'll see all of that. I might stick around till patch notes. I'm not sure. But in general, when it comes to streaming now, I'm only going to really do what I want to do. I'm going to try to stream a little bit more. But I've kind of decided that I'm not going to push insanely hard on PoE. I'm just gonna kind of do what I want to do. I'm gonna make videos about the stuff that I want to do, and yeah, that's pretty much it. When it comes to, like, I don't know, my whole feelings on pushing for this as like the main thing that I want to do have kind of subsided. I don't really feel like I want to invest my entire life into making content for Pee-wee at the moment, but I'm still going to be making a bunch of content for it. I just have a lot of other business stuff that I'm working on. I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to like train for a race. I'm finally back in the gym, actually lifting weights. There's a chance I won't be such a scrawny fat fuck anymore. We'll see. What is that? I don't even know what this red spot on my face is. Either way, appreciate you boys. Take care. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the reveal. So I will see you all later. Where is my done screen, gamers? And make sure you pet Duckless in the chat. Way out. Duckless is here. He's just not on my microphone anymore because I have issues with it.